What if the secret to navigating challenging relationships isn't assertiveness or accommodation, but neutrality? This single skill has helped my executive clients resolve conflicts, influence decisions, and build stronger professional relationships. I'm Jennifer Evans with Empowering Wellness Counseling Solutions, and we're going to talk about the power of neutrality. Why a neutral can actually do a lot. You don't see a lot of neutrals in branding, right? We don't see the beiges and the taupes and the grays in a lot of places in life, and yet all we're trying to do, all I tell you to do is seek the shades of gray. Please seek the shades of gray. And that is because it's not attractive. We like the stark contrast. We like to have red on blue, green on red, or yellow. It's technically, I just threw in a secondary color. Yellow on blue, black on white. We like the stark contrast, and we don't necessarily feel connected to these kind of mute points, these neutrals. But the thing with negative dynamics is we get spun up on them so quickly, we don't even know we're there, and we don't even realize how much we are feeding feedback loops, just constantly feeding feedback loop after feedback loop. We're finding ourselves in this triangulated pattern in a perceived reality that we don't even realize we are there most of the time. And so in these heated moments, we're so quick to keep throwing our trash out into the middle of the floor, throwing it out onto the street at somebody else, and them throwing it at us, that we create this huge wall of garbage that makes it impossible to even see each other any longer, especially in close relationships. We are so quick to say that our partner, the person we're interacting with, is so more sinful and the greatest sinner in the world, so that we don't have to look at ourselves. And last week I talked about how stress is ruining or sabotaging your marriage and your relationship. And this is kind of like that. We project what we don't like about ourselves onto others, and they do the same thing to us. It's equitably out there. And what happens in a negative dynamic is when one person gets in a negative cycle, right, Venn diagram, it kicks the relationship in the negative cycle, and then it kicks the other partner in the relationship in the negative cycle. And the best thing you can do is neutralize one of those cycles. It will neutralize all of the cycles. And so when we own our side of the street, we stop throwing all of our trash into the middle of the road and then blaming it on our neighbor that it's theirs. And instead we own our trash, we put it in the bin, and we effectively find agency on what we want to do with it. But in that heated moment, all we want to do is say, and but, yes but. And we want to start creating tit for tat situations to find a win. And we're missing a huge opportunity to be able to gain and grow together. By wanting to win one argument, we're losing the war, and we're both doing it at the same time. And so neutrality is the opportunity to neutralize all the emotion, to sit with the discomfort, be like, I don't like this, I don't like this, what's sitting with me? It's this pressure on my chest. I feel like I can't even breathe. Own it. Take those deep breaths. Take time for yourself. Own, I can't breathe. Own, I feel stuck. Own, I don't have all the answers. Take that moment to say, give me a moment to think about that. Zoom out. See the whole picture. If I weren't so defensive, if I wasn't protecting those universal constructs, what do you think this person is actually saying? Are they saying that I'm a terrible person and I never do anything ever in my entire life? I've never done anything to contribute to the household chores? Probably not. Shame if it is, but probably not. Never, ever, 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 ever in your whole entire life have you never adulted once? You've never had to do anything. You haven't had to order on your own. You haven't had to write a check. You haven't had to pay a bill. You haven't had to clean a dish. You haven't put a dish away. More than likely what your partner is trying to tell you is that they're feeling unvalued. They're feeling unseen and heard. They feel like they don't belong in this relationship. And so in an effort for them to gain a sense of agency, they're projecting on you all of their worthlessness. And now you're taking it on and you're trying to defend against yourself, which is only allowing them and you and the relationship to all suffer. And so when we're neutral, we start to look at that and we start validating. I hear what you're saying. I hear that you don't feel valued. I'm really sorry that you don't feel valued. It was not my intention to not make you feel valued. Because when I zoom out and I see what is going on, I see that you actually took out the trash. You did the dishes last night. You cooked last night. I was really in my own head and I took you for granted. I wanted to do this fundraiser. I wanted to be able to have, margarita night with my girls. And I totally took advantage of you needing your time because you had a hard week at work. And I thought I had such a hard week at work. I wanted time for myself. And I forgot that by taking time for myself, I forgot that I didn't allow you and I didn't talk to you about what your needs were. And that changes the conversation dramatically. Because now the person who's seen and heard really doesn't even care. Now they're like, I'm so revived. I feel like 1,000 pounds are off of me. I don't actually even need that break anymore, but thank you. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for being present with that. Thank you for giving me that time and realizing that it's a compromise and that we are all sacrificing. And instead of saying, I am sacrificing more than you, we're realizing that we're sacrificing together and that we're finding this neutrality so that we can each contend with what our stressors are and get out of these emotionally reactionary states. You remember that Cartman-Drummond triangle? Go back and look at it. It doesn't matter where you are on the triangle. It doesn't matter where your partner is on the triangle. The second you are there, if you are not neutralizing off of it, you're feeding into it. And not only are you harming yourself, you're harming the relationship, and you're allowing somebody that you don't want to hurt, because I bet you're an enabler. That's just where we're at. We're the rescuers. We are. You're letting them hurt themselves. You're allowing them to play victim instead of finding agency for themselves. And it doesn't help anybody. And so common negative dynamics are the persecutor dynamics, the child dynamics, the parent dynamics, the victim dynamics, the rescuer dynamics. It's pulling ourselves into these triangulated states where we are each reactionary in our own space and we're not able to see clearly because we're so stuck in our perceived reality of suffering and despair. And so although my good avoidant people are like, yes, I don't have to respond at all. I'm the winner. I am the winner of arguments. I do not do anything. I've aced it. I knew I could be a hermit. I knew I didn't have to do anything and I'd win. No, passive avoidance is not the answer. Neutrality is the answer. It's not doing nothing at all. It's being mindful and intentional on what you do and do not do. So we don't want to ghost over and stonewall people. We don't want to glaze out and avoid. What we want to do is not feed into it. And so we want to be very neutral and say, okay, what I'm seeing is, what I'm feeling is, what I'm noticing is, and we're just being curious with sharing exactly what we see. There was I'm going to go with Ted Lasso, but apparently there was, I think the Bears used to be really, really famous and good. And that was way before my time. I don't remember them like winning champions. I don't follow sports that much either. And that famous coach, at that time, I think it was the Bears. Please forgive me, comment and definitely tell me who the right coach is. He would go and say, this is a ball, that's a goal, this is, a helmet, jersey, shoe, kicker, And the point is when you lose the fundamentals, you lose the fun. And sometimes we need the fundamentals to be noted for us to be able to engage appropriately. Or else we're just getting in our heads, we're just trying to defend and survive. Our brain is just in survival mode. It's reactionary, it's offensive, it's defensive. And what we're trying to do is become an equalizer. We're going to learn that in a couple weeks, so subscribe and stay tuned. And we're trying to be neutral by just noting exactly what's going on. I feel this. I'm noticing this. I wonder if this. And though most leadership advice will focus on being more assertive or empathetic, what I observe is that successful executives master something entirely different. The ability to remain emotionally neutral in charged situations. My stress management videos really talked a lot about this, on how you can get a leg up in high stress situations. When you find emotional neutrality, you're no longer in this perceived reality, in this emotionally reactionary state where our past actually comes up and creates a lens for us to view out of. Instead of our present, we see our past. And when we can get up into executive function, prefrontal leadership development area space, then we can start seeing everything as a whole. We can start making action-oriented decisions. We can start making more meaningful moves. We build self-awareness and we grab all that social IQ we can build towards. And that's what we're doing in this 9-week series, is we're starting to really dive in with the young professionals and then with my couples, and we're trying to see interactions are so much more than the two people right here saying yes and no. And when we can broaden ourselves to see all the things that are going in, and did I say yes? Did I say no? Did you say no? Did I say yes? All of it is so much bigger and so complicated. And yet it's predictable. And yet I created algorithms to be successful with it. And yet we're going to do it all on our journey together. We build emotional neutrality, this emotional equanimity, through creating these observer mindsets. We find our breathing and our grounded present. Try the box breathing. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. We use neutral language and reframe. Instead of "you're always criticizing me," say, "I notice we have different perspectives on this." Instead of saying "this is unfair," help me understand your viewpoint. Never ask why. It's defensive. It's a defensive inducing, we know. Ask what about this creates this path. Tell me more. Name and validate your emotions without acting on them. Say, "I feel really defensive right now. I feel as if I need to defend myself, and I don't know why I need to defend myself. I feel like I shouldn't have to defend myself, but I feel like I need to defend myself." Don't say I don't actually go out and aggressively defend yourself. Just say, "I feel like I'm defensive right now." Because that self-awareness creates vulnerability, and as we know, vulnerability opens ourselves up for other people to be vulnerable and want to be vulnerable with us. That humility really builds strong connections, and it starts with one person owning their side of the street. It forces our other partner to contend with their emotions when we stop contending for them. I am Jennifer Evans with Empowering Wellness Counseling Solutions. If you like this, if you have a girlfriend who is constantly coming to you saying, "Oh, I just want to change him," Please share the power of neutrality with her. Hopefully, it will change the way she looks at relationships. Or he, or your professional self, or your boss. It helps anybody who has to interact with somebody else. Like and subscribe. We've got a lot of great content coming at you, so please stay tuned. Lots of ways to be successful, networking, and building your self-worth. Thank you so much.